we do, and I'll stop after this, is really we exist to support broader work being done on Palestine locally. And so all of our activists work through other Palestine solidarity activists, particularly on boycott, divestment, sanction, with the Scottish Palestine Solidarity Campaign and the Palestinian Boycott, Divestment National Committee. We're organizing an international campaign with others who are doing this work to challenge the Jewish National Fund. For people who don't know, because I hear fortunately it's not very well supported in Ireland, the Jewish National Fund is an organization that was involved in very early purchasing and confiscation of land and property in Palestine to hold in trust for Jews all over the world. So while people in Palestine and Palestinians are unable to buy or even rent land and property from the Jewish National Fund, any Jew living anywhere in the world can do so. The Jewish National Fund is a nonprofit, but it can represent the state of Israel in international negotiations per its constitution and the constitution of the state of Israel. So nothing could be more false than this being a community organization that's there for the Jewish community. It's a vehicle for the state of Israel. So we're challenging its charity status. We do a lot of education and awareness. We organize direct action and civil disobedience. And we also get called in to help support things like the Gaza Freedom March or international efforts like the conference, the Israel Review Conference at the International Conference on Racism and Xenophobia in Geneva last year. And then one of our more important functions, and we hope you will use us in this way, is just to give support and power to the many, many, many people who disagree and challenge Israeli apartheid and Israeli colonization. And we also get called in and have toolkits to support people in defending themselves against Zionism, so against Zionist attacks, because Zionist organizations really target both individual academics and community-based organizations that are willing to take a stand and take on the responsibility that we're called to do. So we hope to work with you in the future and appreciate very much you having us and hearing us today. Thank you.
Thanks, Sarah. I actually look very much forward to working with yourselves. So we've still got time for another couple of questions, another couple of quick questions. So I'm afraid we don't have time for everybody here. But Frida, if you want to take another.
Okay, I guess we will keep that on as well, if that's okay. Okay, well, can we take 3 at a time? I think there's sufficient way to do this because there's a lot of questions.
Let's take 2 at a time.
2 at a time.
Okay, Raymond Fitzpatrick, I'm a member of the Labour Party. The only thing that sort of jumps up at me is that in the state of Israel, the Zionist state, we don't have and we don't see demonstrations against the state itself. And this in a state where we have lots of refuseniks who refuse to go onto the front, and we read about them in the newspapers. And this is the one thing that I just think really, this seed has to be sown in order to get the Israelis who are opposed to the Zionist state living in Israel to actually stand up and start to fight.
Hi, good evening. I just wanted to ask you, Professor Fitzpatrick, about your faith during your time in Auschwitz and whether or not you found that your personal relationship with Judaism somewhat diminished, or whether you consider yourself, I don't know, an Orthodox Jew these days, or whether your faith with religion, your relationship with religion has changed.
So could you just ask that question again very quickly?
Speak a bit slower. Oh, she has understood. No, look, I'm afraid to say that I never any faith. nothing except some formal things were done as regards religion. And I myself, when I was a refugee, had lost every belief in what religion whatsoever. But I read Nietzsche, and Nietzsche had a word which I never could forget, also not in Auschwitz, which says, that which does not let us perish strengthens us. And that made, so, non-belief in life after. And the fact that I realized that if I would not survive, all I had to go through before would have made no sense. So therefore, I had a very strong will to survive and to survive without doing inhuman things, and so I succeeded in that. Does it answer
Thanks. Okay, another couple of questions. By the way, we're passing around the collection bucket. I very much urge you to support our work by supporting us financially. Thanks very much. By supporting our work financially, you're basically enabling us to bring in people like Dr. Meyer, but like Sarah, and bring in other international visitors. You're enabling us to organise our activities. We're a totally independent organisation, and so we rely on you to enable our activities. So thank you very much.
David, we prefer paper because it makes less noise.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so we've got time for 3 more questions, and then we'll close the door. Okay.
Hello, thanks very much for coming here and speaking to us about your experiences and the work that you're doing now, which is so important. My question is about the teaching of history and the link with how all kinds of issues like this are dealt with in the media. You describe it as fans of the eyes. Now, looking at what happened in Haiti recently, and now we're supposed to call it Haiti, not Haiti, but anyway, there was no explanation whatsoever about the background of Haiti and how it happens to be one of the poorest countries. And, you know, you could watch every station for hours and learn nothing about Haiti. There were no Haitians, no professionals, none of the refugees, which are many in the United States and Europe, were interviewed about the past. I think Aristide's name wasn't mentioned once, or Devalier. It didn't give anybody any idea of how a people with such rich resources their land could be so impoverished and unable to deal with the situation. And I'm sorry if I'm a bit long-winded. The other thing is, you mentioned Primo Levi from the other writers. The writer Viktor Frankl, who was another survivor of the concentration camp, the title of his book, Man's Search for Meaning, I think says it all. You know, when we look at history and current events, we try to search for meaning, and it's not simple. But my fear is that the way history is being taught in schools in Ireland, or rather how it's not taught, is not actually being taught as a subject anymore. Children as young as 10 can't, a child in a privileged school with quite an academic background in the family, asked me recently, were the Romans around at the time of Hitler? In all seriousness, nobody in the class seemed to think there was anything wrong with this. And then just last week, another child couldn't tell me if her great-grandparents would have been alive at the time of St. Patrick. She seemed to think, and again, didn't think there was anything strange about this. Now, when we're looking at the Holocaust Day, which now we'll have to teach in school, there's no mention at all, as you say, of the other people who were targeted by the Nazis. And it's very tempting, we know this from our own history, history of taught. We look at history books that were printed in Ireland after independence. It's very tempting to simplify history, but it's also very dangerous. And also to simplify current events, like he's very poor,